Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new elite family of woods and irons from Callaway.
The LPGA story is one of vision, commitment, tenacity, bravery, and immense talent. This is the 75th anniversary for the LPGA Tour, the oldest women's sports league in the United States. Another player who helped build this tour is Dottie Pepper. After a successful collegiate and amateur career, Pepper played 17 years in the LPGA Tour, winning 17 times, including 2 major championships. She also represented the United States in 6 Solheim Cups. You heard part 1 of her interview with Anna Jackson earlier in Golf Central. Here's the rest of that fascinating discussion.
From the perspective of someone who's lived it, how would you describe the inner culture and the kind of the sisterhood that is within the LPGA and how that's empowered you across your life?
It's very important. The sisterhood, my 2 deepest, closest playing relationships still exist now with Julie Inkster and Brandy Burton, both Solheim Cup partners. We went head to head, one in a playoff for major championship. I remember making birdie at the last hole at the Friendlies Classic to beat Brandy, who was in the group behind me, and it was competition over friendship. But at the end of the day, if either of us picked up a phone and needed help, we're going to be there first thing. There's no hesitation. And we still get together when I'm out in the desert covering PGA Tour events, or kind of planted on the West Coast, and treasure every minute of it. I also, I wouldn't be where I am without the position and positive push that Judy Rankin gave me and continues to give me. The way she handled broadcasting, the way she handled relationships in general, the way she was so beloved by her crew. Without Judy, I wouldn't have the position and be in doing what I am today.
Yeah, speaking, we're going to get to your broadcast career in just a second, but I just want to stick on that theme of the sisterhood, leaning into the Solheim Cup. It is the ultimate team battle. It has played an integral role in the history and the success of the LPGA Tour. You had 6 appearances for Team USA, including that inaugural edition back in 1990. You were captained by legends like Kathy Whitworth, Joanne Carner, Judy Rankin, who you just said has been such an inspiration. Take us inside the locker room, Team USA, those early years, and how the Solheim has just added to the popularity of the women's game.
Well, I go back to a mandatory player meeting at DuPont Country Club in early 1990. I think it was early June. And it was proposed that the LPGA had been in contact in negotiations with the Solheim family, the Karsten Manufacturing, to do a women's version of the Ryder Cup. I thought, man, I want to be a part of that. Whatever I got to do, I'm going to make myself in the best position possible to get on that team. And that there would be 8 players on that team, and points had already started to accrue. So you really didn't know where you stood, but you knew where you wanted to stand when the final cutoff was coming after the Centel Classic in Tallahassee. So that was an early goal, a chance to really set the foundation for what has become a transformative event in women's sports, really. And yeah, we played for the best players, best leaders. Kathy Whitworth was phenomenal. And everything was, you kind of pick yourself up by the bootstraps and figure it out. We didn't have uniforms for our caddies. The Europeans showed up full deck, top to bottom, with European uniforms for their caddies. So we were pedaling from behind. But one of her best things she told every one of us as a highly favored team was that expect people to do the unexpected, to play better than they've ever played in their lives against you. And what happened in match 1? Nancy Lopez and Pat Bradley went down to Allison Nicholas and Laura Davies. So right away, Whit was right, and it got everybody's attention.
Yeah, so many amazing stories. I could talk to you all day about the history of the Solheim, but it's also just an amazing chance as well to see different sides of the world's best that we don't often get to see otherwise, Dottie.
Right.
And looking...
Oh, you mean like Pat Bradley dancing the Macarena? that was a good one, on a pool table.
That would fall under that category.
That was
yes.
classic.
And even, Nelly Korda coming out on the first tee just last year and dancing to the crowds, things like this
Sure.
are really, really special moments. And when you look at the biggest names on the tour right now, now, Dottie. Nelly, Lydia, Gino Titakun. I'm going to throw Charlie Hull in there as well because she's got such a big profile. Who do you think is having the biggest impact on the sport? And how can the tour just really try and capitalise on these stars that are driving interest into the LPGA?
Well, I think Nelly, purely from an athletic and mechanical standpoint, is getting eyeballs because people want to see Nelly Korda hit a golf ball. Everybody needs to put the me behind them and put the tour forward. And I think I hear a lot of people say, well, we deserve more coverage, or we deserve more print media, we deserve more big sponsorships. And I say, wait a minute. These 13 players that started the LPGA with nothing, everything was in their trunks, and they wrote press releases. They pounded stakes. They gave their own rulings. Right? Betsy Rolls used to be playing and giving rulings at the same time, cutting their own checks, getting from point A to point B, raising children on the tour. They earned it every day. And I think if today's player remembers that, thinks like they did, think that they have to continue to earn it, the good stuff is going to come. But I'm starting to see a little bit of a slide, and it doesn't make me very happy.
Yeah, it's one of the mantras, I think, of the LPGA Tour: act like a founder, do what they would do,
Yes.
and put the tour first and put the sport first. And that is so important.
That's right.
You're absolutely right, Dottie. And you do have such a unique perspective as a former top player, now a hugely respected analyst. As a woman in a male-dominated industry, how did you establish your voice with a straight-talking authenticity which has earned you such respect with golf fans across the world?
Well, I was very fortunate that my first producer at NBC Sports, Tommy Roy, hired me 20 years ago to cover men's golf, to cover the PGA Tour. And it started with Thursday, Friday cable coverage, get my feet wet, learn the cadence, learn the system. And one of the first things that he told me was that I'm not hiring you because you're a woman. The microphone doesn't know you're a woman or a man, but it does know the fact that you failed and you succeeded in the biggest chances, biggest tournaments, biggest championships, majors, regular events, doesn't matter. That's what I want you to talk about. I don't want you to talk about golf as male or female. I want you to talk about golf as the game you know. And that has been what I've continued to do, and then blend that with what Judy told me constantly and still does. Say as much as you can in as few words as possible. And if you can talk about that, you give everybody else a chance to let the show breathe, let the accordion moving out, because you're covering live golf where there's potentially 18 football fields really in play. And they know there's more shots to cover. It's not about the announcer. It's about getting concise information out there, not whether you're male or female, but talking about golf as a game.
That is very, very good advice indeed, Dottie. One final question for you before we go, because we are experiencing a real movement in growth right now in women's sport, which is amazing to see. How would you like to see the LPGA kind of ride on this momentum into its future as we go look into the next 75 years of what the tour could become?
I think we need to act fast. And whoever comes on as this next commissioner, I don't think there can be an onboarding experience. I think this person needs to come from within the world of golf and have a golf DNA that can sit among the people at the golf's table. And you're talking across all of golf, major championships, amateur golf, everywhere, junior golf, developmental golf, and have an understanding and be able to move the LPGA forward as fast as everybody else seems to be going forward. I think that is what it is. It is get up to speed and keep moving at that pace, because you look at what the WNBA has done. They have transformed themselves. But now they're still under a big umbrella that is in control of their purse strings for the most part. But they have moved quickly and made advances quickly. USTA is doing the same thing with the women's organization. They're making the moves that are necessary in today's fast-paced world to be true to themselves,